My name is Xavier. I'm with Democrats for Life of America, and I'm pleased to welcome you to a joint press conference with Democrats for Life and Rehumanize International. We're here today for one reason, which is to oppose Xavier Beccera for HHS nominee. He's been nominated by Biden to run this building behind me, to be in charge of the COVID response. But this man has got no pandemic background. He's not a trained scientist. He's 25 years in Congress, and in that period, he was focused on one thing: promoting the most extreme pro-abortion laws, which he will continue if he is confirmed as HHS Secretary. So we are calling on all members of the Senate to oppose him, and especially Democratic Senator Joe Manchin and Democratic Senator Bob Casey, both of whom call themselves pro-life. We have an awesome program lined up today of speakers, some of whom are from Democrats for Life, some of whom are from Rehumanize. We have other speakers joining us today, including Dr. Yu. Why should senators oppose Biden's nominee for HHS Secretary? A couple of reasons. The most important one is that he's fundamentally unqualified for the role of leading us through the pandemic response. There are still millions of Americans who are out of work because the Trump administration did not get the details right of the response there. The second reason is that he is an extreme pro-abortion activist, and he will bring to the role an agenda which is pro-Planned Parenthood, pro-narrow, pro-choice America, and pro-expanding taxpayer-funded abortion up until birth. We know that throughout all of his 25 years in Congress, Beccera had a 100% rating from both Planned Parenthood and NARAL pro-choice America. He's also received plenty of campaign contributions from them, and his main priority as HHS nominee will be promoting their agenda, and that is what we are here to oppose today. You can see from my sign that I'm a Democrat. I'm here with some Republicans as well. We span the ideological spectrum because we know that he's not what is best for America. So Senator Manchin, Senator Casey, we call upon you to do the right thing, oppose Beccera, do the right thing for your states, and let's move on with someone who's actually qualified to deal with this crisis. Thank you.
Hello, I am Savannah Ackerman. I am one of the founding members and lead organizer for the first chapters in the United States of Rehumanize International, which is in the D.C., Maryland, and Virginia area. Rehumanize stands for the Conservative Life Ethic, which is the opposition of all violence to all human beings, from conception to natural death. And I stand here today as an informed voter who is calling on my representatives to confirm someone who will advise our president to go against all violence to all human beings, regardless of race, age, ability, developmental stage, sexual orientation, gender, or any other qualifiers for human beings. I stand against Beccera because of his extremist abortion views, particularly as a mother right now. For my daughter, if I were to choose to get an abortion, and she fought for her own life and survived, completely independent of me, and was breathing and living on her own. The fact that he opposed the Born Alive Act, so saying that even though she is a fully functional human being, that she does not deserve human rights and does not deserve to live. And I'm wondering, what is the quantifier then if it's not living outside of the womb? If that's not enough to be human rights, is it just that the child is unwanted? And if it's just that the child is unwanted, I think that's a bad quantifier for someone to have rights. Because if we look throughout history, when those in power have been able to oppress those who are marginalized and enact violence against them, it's not okay. And it doesn't lead to good things. And so once again, I just want to encourage our senators to listen to those of us who are here across the political spectrum, across the belief spectrum. This is not a religious issue. Abortion is a human rights issue. Violence can never be healthcare, and abortion is violence. And it's for this reason that we want Beccera to not represent the health department of this country. So with that, we join together and we say, Beccera out now. Beccera out now. Beccera out now. Beccera out now. So now we're going to move on to our next speaker.
Hi everyone, I had a face nappy and I have no idea. I must have dropped it around the block since I had to walk around the block in order to get through to our federal city. My name is Liz Mattori. I'm with And Then There Were None. You might know our CEO and founder, Abby Johnson. I'm going to make this brief because we are here in the frigid cold in order to protest the appointment of Beccera. We should say, basta, Beccera. I know you were looking for a bilingual speaker. I did speak Spanish and lived in Spain for a hot minute. So it's basta, Beccera, which is stop Beccera, enough Beccera. I work for a nonprofit, absolutely nonpartisan, but I was an active, lifelong Democrat. I'm a DC native. One of the main reasons why I left the Democratic Party is because of the radical leftist turn, particularly around human life, that my former party took. If we are speaking specifically to Senator Manchin, you are now my senator. I had to leave. I had to have an exodus to leave Maryland and DC because I do not have, people like me do not have representation in a 400 mile radius of this capital. Because you have forgotten who you represent. And if anything, just the motto of HHS should be enough. Your motto apparently is improving the health, safety, and well-being of America. But as our organization, And Then There Were None, we represent women, mostly women and some men, who have left the abortion industry. We used to be not just pro-choice, but we used to be the women who had to piece together the babies' bodies that were taken out of the women's wombs. Day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, moment by moment, endlessly. And that's based on the laws and rules that you have placed on us for the last 40 years. Can you imagine if a radical leftist Democrat that pushed me out of the Democratic Party in 2014 and 15 gets appointed to the highest office in the world, not just this country. HHS also mobilizes the world standard of healthcare. This would not just abort more black and brown babies, Javier's and Kamala's in this country, but gender-based abortions happen not just here, but around the world. This is the reality that you, Senator Manchin, and all the other senators are doing blindly. For what? We say basta Beccera, because you have to draw the line. Or appoint him and prove us right. Approve the former abortion industry workers right. This industry is beyond ridiculous. And you have to take a stand by not doing it. Basta Beccera. Okay? Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Allie Rock. I am the president of Charles County Right to Life in Southern Maryland, an affiliate of Maryland Right to Life. There's only one word that comes to mind when I hear the name Xavier Beccera: abortion. I live and work in Maryland in the pro-life movement, and I try to stay in my lane, in my state. God knows we have our hands full here fighting abortion extremism. But I know all about Beccera's personal vendetta against the pro-life movement. From colluding with Kamala Harris and Planned Parenthood in order to railroad David Daleiden, to trying to enforce unconstitutional speech mandates on pro-life pregnancy centers, to his most recent attempt to expand teleabortion during a global pandemic. There hasn't been a national news story about Xavier Beccera that isn't about abortion, it seems. It cannot be overstated that confirming Beccera as head of HHS would be the absolute worst case scenario for bipartisanship, the oft called for unity and healing from our new presidential administration, and the hard-fought victories of the pro-life movement for the last 4 years. There can only be one reason that President Biden would nominate a state attorney general to the most influential and important healthcare policy office in the country, and that is the expansion of abortion and the influence of the abortion lobby on decision-making.
State of Maryland, we have medical and late-term abortion debacles of the worst order. In November 2019, a medically aborted baby was found in a Ruby Tuesday restroom toilet in Upper Marlboro. In May 2020, 2 women, each 25 weeks pregnant, sustained gruesome injuries at the late-term abortion facility in Bethesda, Maryland. One went home without a uterus. The other needed a bowel resection and a colostomy. So let me say something about the tight circle of abortion extremism that exists in Maryland and how it relates to Xavier Beccera. In Maryland, Legislative District 16, where the late-term abortion facility sits, the entire legislative team, that's 3 delegates and 1 state senator, recently served as sponsors of NARAL Pro-Choice Maryland's October 2020 gala. At that gala, NARAL gave an award to State Attorney General Brian Brosh. Brian Brosh was one of the 21 state attorneys general who signed this March 2020 letter to HHS and the FDA asking for the loosening of restrictions around a drug used for medication abortions. The Maryland chapter of Democrats for Life, for its part, sent letters to the Maryland District 16 team and to State Attorney General Brian Brosh asking for a rigorous investigation of the injuries sustained at the Bethesda facility. We included the Montgomery County Fire and Rescue incident reports in our request to Brian Brosh. Of all these 5 parties we contacted on the letters on our Democrats for Life stationery, not one of them has answered our letters about these inconvenient truths. To top things off, Maryland Democrats for Life was denied membership in the Maryland District 16 Democratic Club's Facebook group page. That is a public group which has other Democratic group members, such as the PG County Young Democrats, who are not even part of District 16. They're in a different county. Our national leaders of Democrats for Life will be helping us confront some of the silent voices in this closed circle of abortion extremism in Maryland. We are grateful they are fighting Beccera's influence. It impacts Maryland. We want to present a quote presented by the Maryland pro-life activist named John Padmo. We're going to give it to our national president, Teresa Kovnak, when we see her. It's called Pro-Life Democrat, 50 Brief Insights and Apologia. He makes a good case that both Democrats and Republicans need pro-lifers in their parties, and that's what we're doing today, working together to fight Beccera. So let's keep doing that. This book is now available on Amazon. My endorsement is on the back cover, so make sure you go buy it and or come see it. In any event, please stand with us against Beccera and both Democrats and Republicans. We want to help each other out doing that. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Michael New. I'm a research associate at the Catholic University of America, and I am the coordinator for the Washington, D.C. 4 Days for Life campaign. And I want to thank you all for coming today. I really want to thank Democrats for Life for sponsoring this event. If we're going to protect unborn children, we're going to need 2 parties compete with each other to see who can do the most to protect the preborn, and someday we'll have that. So I want to thank you for sponsoring this event. So here we are. Asking the Senate to reject Joe Biden's nomination of Xavier Beccera to serve as the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services. Joe Biden's camp nominees. But his nomination of Xavier Beccera is by far, hands down, the worst. During a global pandemic, does Joe Biden nominate a health policy expert? Nope. As a political favorite of Planned Parenthood, he nominates an abortion extremist, Xavier Beccera. Let's just take a look at Xavier Beccera's record. As U.S. Congressman, he supported late-term abortion, he supported taxpayer funding of abortion, he even opposed legislation that will protect children born alive during an abortion. He received 100% ratings from the Planned Parenthood Action Fund, Planned Parenthood California, and NARA, Pro-Choice America. But what is even worse is the way Beccera abused his power when he was Attorney General of California. He sued and led a multi-state amicus brief against the Trump administration to restore $60 million in federal funding that Planned Parenthood lost because of the Protect Life rule. He defended California's requirement that all insurance plans cover abortion on demand. He defended a law requiring pro-life pregnancy centers to violate their conscience rights to provide information to their clients about how to obtain abortions. And it gets worse. It gets much worse. Beccera sued the Little Sisters of the Poor, insisting the order should be required to pay for contraception and abortifacients. And it gets even worse. In 2016, investigative journalists David DeLive and Sandra Merritt exposed misconduct on the part of Planned Parenthood. They provide compelling video evidence that Planned Parenthood engaged in the sale and trafficking of fetal body parts. Now, did Beccera prosecute or investigate Planned Parenthood for their egregious and outrageous conduct? No. Instead, he pursued legal action against DeLive and Merritt, the investigative journalist. He's charged with 14 counts of illegal reporting and 1 count of conspiracy, a move that even the LA Times called a disturbing outrage. Finally, as Attorney General, Beccera even didn't limit his activities in California. He filed numerous lawsuits to overturn pro-life laws in Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, and Ohio. Now, the Secretary of Health and Human Services has a great deal of power over sanctity of life issues. The Secretary has the ability to steer government grants toward groups that support legal abortion. And most importantly, with the Affordable Care Act, the HHS Secretary has a lot of power over health care, and especially health insurance. We saw what Kathleen Sebelius did in the Obama administration. Xavier Beccera will be worse, much worse. Look at his track record. He will try to make religious ministries, religious schools, and even nuns purchase health insurance plans for contraceptives, sterilizations, and even abortion-inducing drugs. Now, there's a good chance religious groups like Little Sisters of the Poor litigate will be successful. However, religious groups, religious orders, and religious nonprofits should not have to devote scarce resources to litigation. America deserves an HHS secretary who will uphold, support, and defend conscience rights. And groups like Little Sisters of the Poor should be free to do their valuable work in serving others without constant fear and constant threat of litigation. As I said before, Xavier Beccera, this is President Biden's worst nomination. If Joe Manchin's out there listening, or if staff is listening, we are paying attention. There's some votes he's going to have to cast that are easy. This one might be tough. But Manchin and other Democrats have to make a choice. Do you stay with your pro-life constituents, or do you stay with Chuck Schumer, Planned Parenthood, and radical abortion extremists like Xavier Beccera? So, silent disappointment. Joe Biden chose to divide rather than unify. He chose to polarize rather than compromise. The Secretary of Health and Human Services should not be a political attack dog. The Secretary of HHS should not be a weapon to be wielded against one's political opponents. And the HHS Secretary should not be a political payoff to Planned Parenthood. This should be true at any time with any presidential administration. However, it is especially true during a global pandemic. The U.S. Senate must reject the nomination of Xavier Beccera. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nora. I understand the fear that a surprise pregnancy can bring and the support that crisis pregnancy centers can provide in situations like that. Pregnancy resource centers provide vital services to people in desperate need without charging a fee. But instead of lifting up pregnancy centers, Xavier Beccera used his position as California Attorney General to try to shut them down. He'd ordered them to give free advertising to the abortion businesses and face crippling fines. He trampled their right of conscience. He was so determined, he took his unconstitutional crusade all the way to the Supreme Court. Thankfully, the court protected California's pregnancy centers from Attorney General Beccera. But the vote was much too close for comfort, and he's not done. Now Beccera wants to resume his fight against the pro-life movement from a new perch, as head of the Department of Health and Human Services. He cannot let that happen. I know just how abortion advocates will respond. They'll play the religion card. They will accuse me of being a Bible thumper, a theocrat, or even a conservative Christian. So predictable. The truth is that I'm an atheist and a Democrat. I am one of 12 million pro-life Americans who do not belong to a religion. Because the right of conscience is not only for people who believe in God. It is for people who believe that the vulnerable members of the human family deserve care. It's for people who believe in compassion. It's for people who believe that every human being has the right to life. Xavier Beccera does not share those values. We cannot trust him to protect Americans' rights and health. Senators, I urge you to vote no on Xavier Beccera.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ryan Ackerman. I am a founding member of Rehumanize DMV, which is our local chapter of Rehumanize International, a nonprofit that stands a secular, nonpartisan, and sectarian nonprofit that stands against all violence towards all human beings. I want to talk directly to President Biden as somebody who's heartbroken and disappointed as a president who ran on a unifying principle when, over 40% of his party opposes unrestricted abortion. Over 60% of Black and Latinx Democrats do not believe in completely unrestricted abortion up until birth. Xavier Beccera does, and it's something that he fights for. Like was mentioned before, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And instead of appointing somebody with a background in healthcare, someone who could lead us and communities in needs through this destructive time in our country, is right behind me. Insurrectionists came, and our country's in shambles. And instead of trying to bring us together, he's tearing apart the party by nominating a radical extremist whose views do not align with the majority of the American people. That's all I have to say. I'm very disappointed. I call on our senators to stand against Biden on this decision and to unite this country in such a time of division.
I think that's all of our speakers, unless anybody else. Okay, so since it is very cold, obviously all of us feel that, and we want to show the senators that even in the cold, even in the lockdowns that are going on in DC, the fact that most of us had to walk up our way, that is how important we find this message that we are standing today, that all lives matter, from conception to natural death, that we are pro-life for the whole life. So we just want to end in a few chants before we sign off today. So first, I'm going to start. When baby lives are under attack, what do we do? And then everyone else, you can say, stand up, fight back. So, when babies' lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When babies' lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When babies' lives are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Okay. And then we're going to finish with Drop Beccera Now. So, Drop Beccera Now.
Drop Beccera now.
Drop Beccera now. Drop Beccera now.
Drop Beccera now. Once more.
Drop Beccera now.
Thank you.